r/AskReddit. People who separated/divorced within 1 year of getting married. When did you know it was a mistake? When I found out he had $500K in debt that he hadn't told me about beforehand. Yes, we had a prenup. He just lied about it on the prenup. When she pulled a knife a month in, I still stayed for a full year like an idiot. I had a girlfriend pull a knife on me as I was moving out, to try to get me to stay. Yeah, no, bye. Well, you make a strong case. Let me go get my bags back out of my car, see you in a second. A cousin of mine divorced her husband after 6 months. She knew when we had to pick her up from her home after having been recently beaten. That day, we packed up all of her stuff and never let her go back. I'm happy that you guys could be there for her and help her get out. Hope she is doing well now. She decided she was in love with her stepbrother a month after we got married. I'm pretty sure I watched a preview of a scene with the same plotline last night. Yeah. The movie Clueless? Less than a year into actively trying to get pregnant, he got discouraged, gave up and started staying out until 4:15 a.m. with his co-worker. He posted selfies on her couch on Snapchat and even went as far as asking her to marry him once he could get rid of me. He had 2 biological children, my stepchildren, that he abandoned at home with me while he was out doing this. The icing on the cake was that on my favorite holiday, while holding my brand new baby nephew in front of his entire family, he told me he wanted a divorce. I was gone in 2 weeks, left everything to him, and vanished. New number, new address, everything. Best choice I ever made. A couple of weeks into our marriage, the sex started to physically hurt. I went to my OB and after a test or 2, she informed me I had contracted chlamydia. That's when I knew. Turns out, my newlywed husband had been banging his coworker for months. Hopefully, he didn't gaslight you and try to convince you that you had it before and it was dormant. And technically you gave it to him. That happened to one of my friends. Deplorable. I brought this up with my doctor after the initial diagnosis. I thought what you said in your above comment had to be the case, that I must have contracted it from a former partner years ago. My OB explained that had I had chlamydia all those years, I would have noticed some of its long-term effects. She was fairly certain I had contracted it recently. Not me, but a friend of mine. They had been married about 6 weeks. She had just moved in when they returned from the honeymoon, and she was rearranging furniture, organizing closets, etc., one day while he was at work. She started pulling some of his boxes down from a closet shelf to make room for her things, and a box fell down accidentally, spilling hundreds of pictures of child porn. Divorced the pedo after reporting him to the military police. They were both in the military. Correct response. She went out for girls' night and met a new friend named Nicole at a bar. Started texting her a lot, then going to hang out now and then. We had a baby at home and she kept trying to go hang out with this girl from another town over with no last name whom I was not allowed to meet. His real name was Wesley. She sounds hideous. A cousin of mine married someone who seemed like the perfect woman. They worked in the same store together, and he would brag about how his wife was getting promoted quickly in the company. A few months into the marriage, she tells him she's going out with friends for the evening. An hour or so later, my cousin gets a call from one of his friends. The friend saw her having dinner in a restaurant with the manager of the store that they both worked at. Once he confronted her about it, that was basically the end of the marriage. This was similar to a friend of mine. His wife spent years trying to alienate him from his friends. After they got married, they bought a house near his job. She decided she didn't like the commute to her job, even though it was practically the same, and started staying at her parents'. Friend finds out from her parents she hasn't been staying there. Turns out she was going out and partying with coworkers, then staying with an ex. I got married shortly after tech school. About 4 months after. We made plans for her to move from NC to TX to join me, as I'm in the military and can't move. 3 times I brought it up, 3 times she said she just needed more time to move. Finally, the 4th time she said she couldn't leave her friends and family to move across the country to start our lives together. A year later, we were divorced. Or well, I divorced her. She obviously didn't come down to Texas for that, signed a waiver of citation to not get any news about it, so I basically got to divorce myself, which, after hearing how vindictive ex-spouses can be, I chalked that up to a blessing. You got married while you lived 2,000 miles away from each other? I feel like the red flag would have been that after the wedding you went different directions, not 4 months later. That's a shitty situation. Sorry, bud. Not me, but my brother. We grew up on a ranch. Bro's girlfriend comes from the city, but during visits to the ranch, she dives right in, helping our mom around the house and participating in all the stuff we do, horseback riding, ATVs, etc., and claiming, and appearing, to love it. Brother so happy his city gal is compatible with the ranch lifestyle he grew up in, even though he is now working in the city and their life will be in the city. He just loved that she was able to connect with him that way and more importantly, with his family. They date for 18 months, make many visits to the ranch, and all is well. She insists that she wants to have her wedding at my parents' home. My folks go all out, have both families there, everyone has a great time. The next morning, we have a send-off breakfast for the couple. They head to the airport for their honeymoon. My mom and bride's mom are visiting afterward and bride's mom mentions she's glad my mom had no hard feelings that her daughter and my brother will no longer be coming out to the ranch. My mom is like, "What do you mean?" Bride's mom says, "Oh, I thought Lord told you that having the wedding here was her gift to you to have your son home one last time with all his family here." My mom goes white as a sheet. We all are stunned. We are confused as to whether my brother knows this, and more importantly, has agreed to this. My other brother, who has his own history of family drama, texts our big bro saying, "Is it true that this is your last time visiting mom and dad?" And big bro texts back, "What are you talking about?" Middle bro says, "Ask your new wife." Needless to say, the honeymoon never happens. It turns out that his wife had been hiding her belief that that man leaves his family behind and becomes part of the woman's family. It was fully her intent to never visit my parents again, to spend all holidays at her parents' home, to have any future children only have relationships with her family, and on and on. My brother literally had no idea these were her beliefs/desires. To this day I don't know if she was evil or just clueless. They remained married for about a month until the divorce was final, but my bro never saw her again after the day after wedding day. Not a year, but about 18 months. She was constantly complaining she didn't have friends after moving in with me. Joined a local soccer team, and she talked about one teammate non-stop for months. I had a bad feeling about it from the get-go, but she assured me they were just friends and how dare I not trust her. Thought I was going crazy because my gut told me something wasn't right, but I was punishing myself for being a bad husband and not trusting my wife. Turned out it was all true. She had been ducking the teammate for months. Most likely fucked someone else during our engagement. Split amicably officially as of last week without any mess, thank God. Not me but my dad. He got back from his honeymoon and went back to work. He came home and something felt off when he walked in the door. She wasn't home when she never ever failed to be home when he got there. When she got back he mentioned that it was weird that she had been out and asked if she went somewhere. She dodged his questions at first, but eventually she admitted that she'd quit her job and was planning on using him as her cash cow. He tried counseling and asked her to get her job back, but she always brushed him off and never took him seriously. He threw in the towel 7 months later and she started trying to fix things, but it had been 7 months of him trying to fix things and she had no interest. So he filed for divorce and went on to achieve his lifelong dream. He dated and then married his middle school crush, my mom. 28 years strong. My sister got a civil marriage. Then they moved super ducking far away to the middle of nowhere cause he got a good job. My sister never finished college and he would remind her on a daily basis about it. She would get super depressed and he wouldn't believe her. She got sick once and he told her since she didn't go to the DMV that day she wasn't allowed to go to a theme park we were planning on going to that weekend. He would demean her whenever she couldn't get a job or even an interview, and she applied to practically everywhere within a 50-mile radius. He called her stupid in front of me and when I called him out he told me to mind my own business. If he wasn't twice my size I would have decked him. She left him after about a year cause he's obviously a raging asshole. When she left he told her she has nowhere to go and if she went to stay with our mom she would just be a burden like me. I was like 19 and in college at the time. He's a rude ducking dick but at least she got the car and the dog. Best girlfriend I had to date at the time. I was in my late 30s, had never been married. Dated about a year. Got married. Shortly after she asked to have her name on all of my assets, a few rental houses, current house, and some financial instruments, the cars. Not a problem as we were married I thought, but on a Wednesday she insisted it be done by that Friday. I didn't have time to do that because work and a deadline, I could start it the next week I said. She pitched a fit and said if I loved her I would do it by Friday. I found this strange and decided not to start it and see what happened. She moved out of our bedroom into a guest room. Got cold around the house, told me she would move back into our bedroom when I finished getting everything done. At this point I thought bull and told her so. I went to my family lawyer to seek advice. She advised me not to put anything in her name at this point. Gave me the name of a marriage counselor. She didn't want to go to counseling, she continued to live in the guest room. I took my lawyer's advice and did nothing about the assets. The long and short of it was after 1 year off marriage, when on our anniversary she told me I didn't have her in my heart, I thought to myself, this is bull. About a week after that I told her if this is the way it's going to be, I'm not going to be married like this. She then told me, okay, so what are you going to give me? Yes, she said that. I consulted my lawyer on what a judge would come up with regarding community property for the past year. Number came up to 20 grand. I took that number and added about 20 grand and proposed that to her so we can make it easy. I was going to spend more than that in lawyer's fees if it got ugly. It got ugly. A week later I got served with papers, with all said in the complaint. When added up, she was going after $750,000 for 1 year of marriage, 1 year of divorce proceedings and 2 years of property settlement proceedings on what should have been a 2-hour problem. Judgment came, 215 points in the judgment. I owed her what would have been a community property, about 20 grand, but awarded me attorney's fees. So in net, she owed me about 30 grand and left her to go buy her own car. Turns out this judge had worked her ass off through school to become a lawyer and the same to become a judge by 40 years old. I was told by another attorney that normally this judge never gives attorney's fees, but was so peed off at the gold dig my wife attempted, that she felt it was justified in this case. Even though I came out okay financially, it was an emotional train wreck to have this happen and go through all that. It's been 15 years since it happened. I was not dateable for about 2 years, but now very happy with where I am and who I'm with. Thank you for watching Reddit Lore. Please like and subscribe for new videos daily and leave your comments below.